Hola amigos, and welcome back to another episode of La Vida Verde podcast. I'm your host Matthew Human here at Finca Vida Verde. My guest today is a really cool one. She is an organizing consultant, a facilitator of space, a property manager focusing on home birth housing. She's an environmental activist, originally from Bolivia, but has lived here in Costa Rica most of her life. And she's taught me so much about how things work here. She's like my Costa Rican ambassador. Her name is Roxy Saenz. It's going to be a great conversation. We hope you enjoy. Roxanita linda y preciosa, welcome to La Vida Verde podcast.
Hola, Human. Feliz cumpleaños.
Gracias.
It's Human's birthday, everyone.
It is my birthday today. It's true. We're filming this on my birthday, although this will be released on Tuesday. I said that because Roxy told me, she's like, Human, when you want something from me, you have to address me as I'm going to tell you how to address a woman. Roxanita linda y preciosa. Beautiful and precious Roxy, please. Can I? Yo, everybody, what's happening? This is Humano. Guys, thank you, everybody who's been watching this podcast. I want to invite you to join our Patreon, patreon.com/La Vida Verde podcast. We are looking for ways to build our community. We have a lot of great content on there, and I think you're really going to enjoy it. It helps fund this program so we can keep having great guests, great conversations. Go check it out, patreon.com/La Vida Verde podcast. Pura vida. No, this is going in. Thank you for coming. And Roxy lives up in Escazú.
Yeah, that's right.
You're my friend in El Paco.
La
Paco. And I did say, like in the intro, she's like taught me, helped me a lot to understand Costa Rican culture. And I mean, I've lived here for 15 years before I even met you, but there's just there's a lot of details. And Roxy has because she's also traveled so much internationally, you understand my culture, you understand deeply the Costa Rican culture, and you have this way of like helping me understand complex things. So thank you.
You're welcome. Complex things that shouldn't be so
complex, right?
Because they're very simple.
Sometimes, yeah.
Just hard to understand.
Yeah. And you kind of grew up in so we were going to talk about that. So you were originally said you were born in Peru.
Right.
But you didn't grow up there.
No, I lived there for 3 years, and then my dad was from Bolivia.
Mm-hmm.
So I identify more with the Bolivian side of South America.
Where's your mom from?
Costa Rica.
Oh, your mom's Tica?
Yeah, my mom's Tica. So most of my life I lived here.
Okay.
But then traveling when I was a kid for my dad's work. So
I see. And your father was a diplomat.
He worked for the OAS, which is part of the UN, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So your dad worked for the UN. Was he representing Bolivia?
Bolivia, yeah. But I think like in the more like departmental kind of thing, not like...
What is the OES?
OAS is the Organization of American States. So it's the chapter of the UN that overlooks the Americas. Like the NATO is for like the North Atlantic, right? So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's based out of Washington, D.C., so we lived there for a while as well.
You lived in D.C.?
Yeah.
When you were young?
Right out of high school.
Oh.
Yeah.
So you traveled a lot.
I think so, yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, it is.
But you were mostly based here.
Yeah, mostly based here. I'm Tica.
In La Paca.
You've heard La Paco. You heard me. You heard my Spanish. I'm pretty Tica.
No, you're super Tica. I know. I always identified you as that, but
Yeah,
it was
for sure.
until getting to know you that I'm like, oh, okay. So there's more. So curious. So what was that like? I mean, growing up in Escazú, what was your just a little like primer?
Frescazú, you mean?
Frescazú.
Escazurf.
It's the city of witches, they call it, right?
Yeah, it is. It is. Escazú. Well, growing up, for sure, it was like a pasture land, a lot of potreros and big like guanacaste trees and
It was very open.
huachipelines. It was very open, yeah.
Like this is? Not
No,
quite
no,
this
no, no.
open.
More cut down for sure, I think. Well, right here, your finca is like already reforested, right? Like
Yeah.
regenerated. So, but yeah, I remember, for example, in my parents' house, we had like, it was called quiebra patas, like this thing for the cows. Maybe that's what you should get here so that the cows don't come into your property.
Yeah,
It's
you
like
know.
this kind of like ditches.
Oh,
It's like kind
oh,
of
like
like
with the
ditch
grate, cattle
with
grate.
the grate,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, the
so the
cattle guard.
cows wouldn't get into the house.
Uh-huh.
And
Oh man.
yeah, you can still see some cows in my neighborhood for sure, and it's beautiful
Not just
because
wandering around the neighborhood. Though.
not anymore. No.
No.
Well, the other day there was one on the street that we kind of rescued with my friend, and I should have taken it home. I should have taken that calf home because somebody else stole it, and then like, there was a Facebook ad like looking for the calf. It was a whole thing.
Wow.
And it was like a network of people on Instagram because for sure I posted the photo, me with the calf. And then everybody's like, oh, they're looking for this cow. So they do wander sometimes.
So I mean, but we're talking about like the area where you live
Yeah.
now. I mean, that was back what in
All of Escazú.
20 years ago.
Maybe even less.
I mean, now
right?
there's a Krispy Kreme a stone's throw from your house. I mean,
It's
like
grown really fast.
this area, that area is completely. It's restaurants
Yeah.
and nice houses in that kind of area, like older, nicer, like 70s from the 70s and the 80s mostly.
Some of them, yeah. Like, the big houses that are now being torn down to be replaced with not high rises, but like
Right.
apartment buildings, right?
Right.
Like vertical living.
No,
which-
it's city. It's
It's
full on
full on
city now.
city. It's
So
full-
the fact that there's a calf
it's full-
walking down your road, I'm like,
But there's a few, and I think those properties are probably like in some kind of like legal dispute, like the grandfather died and all the children can get,
the
there's
big
a couple of
potreros that
those.
still
Yeah,
exist.
the big potreros that I think if it was up to me and I have gone to the municipality to rally for this, they should just be turned into parks already, like urban parks,
like people that haven't,
really,
if you haven't like sold your grandfather's land within 100 years or something.
or something like that. I don't
50,
know, but like,
yeah.
people really crave the green.
Yeah.
Right, which is the beautiful thing about Escazú, which is for those of you who don't know, it's on the west side of San Jose. So on the east side, and there's this kind of like little rivalry between the east and the west in our little San Jose. Whoever lives in the east is just like kind of always want to stay there, and in the west, which is Escazú and Santa Ana and Ciudad Colón, and even more coming towards here. It's greener, in the east side, there's like the universities and all the colleges and
Like
stuff.
San Pedro.
So San Pedro and that part. So it's a little bit more built up, right? So not as much green going on there anymore. So that's why a lot of people want to now come to Escazú and live in the nice new apartments.
Yeah. No, it's so
Yeah.
beautiful too.
It
And I
is,
love
it's nice. It's busy.
I love that, like, for me, like, that, because it is on the west, and we're even a little further
Yeah.
west, like, but we're in an hour, I can be there, and I could be, like, having dinner at a super nice restaurant with you, or, like, go see a movie, or, that's what I love about this area. I like being so close to all that, and you don't have to go into the city. You don't have to go
No.
into San Jose, which is kind of a hustle bustle, very, there's parts of it that are super, like, downtown vibes. I don't like that. I'm not a city person. But Escazú is like the nice right amount of city. It's kind of like I don't know, more like US kind of, I don't know, a suburb almost.
Exactly what we like.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
No.
I don't know why. It's comfortable.
But
It's
also-
as much city as I want, though, is what I'm saying.
Right. Also, if you go like just up the road,
Mm-hmm.
then it's Escazú Centro, which is Old Town Escazú.
Right.
And then you get like the still like campesino vibes,
Yeah.
and there you can see the cows.
And so, okay, so we could talk forever, Roxy and I. 'cause
Yeah, we do. We talk for hours.
So that goes. Growing up there, and you still have your family. You still live in your family's house that you grew up in, right?
Not really, but in the neighborhood. Yeah.
Oh.
My dad
The
bought a-
house that you do your home births.
No, well, I inherited the house, but it wasn't my house where I grew up. My
Oh.
dad just built a bunch of houses. Not a bunch, I'm sorry,
Oh.
like a few houses in that neighborhood when he
Okay.
retired from the OAS.
Okay.
So, yeah,
okay. So, but you're still in the same.
But in
neighborhood.
same neighborhood,
Yeah.
and it's really nice over there because it's central to everything, but kind of like tranquilo at the same time. Not too much buzzing.
Yeah.
Once you pass the gate,
Yeah.
we live
it's
behind
tranquilo. I
gates.
like it over there. No, they always stop me. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
I tell them I'm with Roxy. They're cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, but then you also like you told me you lived in Syracuse, New York for a while, right?
I was there like as an exchange student
Right.
during some crazy blizzard, and I just refused to go to school after after 2 months. I'm like, yeah, no,
Right.
I'm not getting credits for this.
And you lived in
That was
DC and you
fun.
lived in DC.
I lived in DC for a year. When I was a kid, I lived like all my elementary school. I lived in Guatemala, so that was like super.
How did I not even know this?
Know everything.
I don't know
about
I know
me.
nothing about you apparently.
No, all my elementary school was Guatemala, so that was like a big impact. Also about more cultural Latin America style, because Bolivia is like huge native culture, right? Like different people, like native people or originals. I don't know how you would call them.
Original people.
Original people that even
we're all original people, I'm
yeah.
pretty sure, but
No,
yeah.
well, you're quite original, but also Guatemala, like Costa Rica is one of the things that we always kind of talk about, like the culture itself of the indigenous people is more like, it was very jungly always here. This was the jungle, so it wasn't like a big mecca of trade and all these type of things, right? Like in other, like Guatemala was, Mexico, and then in South America, even Colombia, and then down to Peru and there. So we were always kind of just more like living off the land and stuff like that, not so much like the weaving and the colorful things.
Right.
And I mean, some of your friends that live here, like Sarah maybe can correct me if I'm wrong, because we don't get taught that in school. Like we don't get taught a lot
The
about like
indigenous history
not really, no.
of Costa Rica.
Not really. If you want to learn about that, you have to like really
Go and
go
Yeah.
research yourself, which I have a little bit, but I think you had one of your guests.
Yeah, we had
Yeah.
we had Marcela Mora, who was
Excuse me.
she was Chorotega, I think.
Right.
And yeah, there's like maybe what, like six major
I think there's 8.
eight indigenous cultures. And yeah, you don't do, I mean, we engage with the Baruca quite a bit when in Envision, because that's kind of not far
Right.
from their land. And then the Bribri, when you go down to the Caribbean, the Bribri are still, I mean, there's still a lot of indigenous people
There
here.
is a lot, yeah, for sure.
But yeah, it's kind of spread out. It's not like it's all like in one place, and they're not all one people. They don't all identify with each other's cultures. They don't even all speak the same languages.
Yeah, for sure.
Which-
But I think that's the same in all of the native kind
yeah,
of.
yeah. Well, in the U.S., I feel like it's starting to, because the culture in the U.S. was, a lot of the individual native cultures were pretty well, what's the word? Destroyed. I mean, to some
What's the
degree.
word?
To some degree, they were intentionally like brought in to
Right.
speak English and and understand and be American culture. I mean, there's still a lot of, don't get me wrong, there's still a lot of indigenous culture, and a lot of it has upsurged since then.
Right.
But a lot of I think it's become more. There's a more of an American Indian, like people who identify as an American Indian culture as well. So
Well, there's a resurgence of that all over the world. I feel like it was pushed down for so long and trying to assimilate. Even my own father, he left Bolivia when he was like in his mid-20s, I want to say, and like for the rest of his life, he was just trying to assimilate to the American culture. He had like he studied in the States and lived there for many years, and at some point when I realized the value of my heritage, then we started bumping heads, because I was never really
you want-
encouraged to learn about these things, and then it kind of got lost in my family until I went in and like tried to find it out for myself.
Interesting. And you go back to
Yeah.
Bolivia sometimes?
All the time, yeah.
Yeah.
All the time.
Ah, cool.
All the time, yeah.
Yeah,
it's
you've
beautiful.
invited me. I want to go down there. I
Yeah,
have some
for
other friends.
sure.
I have some friends in Santa Cruz as well that
Oh,
I would like
nice.
to go visit.
It's more the Amazon.
Seems like a cool spot, Bolivia.
Santa Cruz, Bolivia
all
in
of
general.
Bolivia.
Bolivia is huge. It's 1 million
Yeah.
kilometers. There's so much to see.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And it's where is it? South of Colombia, right?
Yeah, we're way south. Yeah.
Oh,
It's like
south of Peru.
Yeah, it's south of Peru and like kind of north of Argentina and Chile, and it's
Oh.
landlocked.
Oh.
Right.
Oh, there's no beach. Oh, okay.
No,
Right, it's
we
mountain.
lost it in a war.
You lost the beach in a war.
We lost the
Womp
the
womp.
ocean access, which is really what it is, like, so the trade really suffered. So for many years, Bolivia was like super, like second poorest country after Haiti
Right. and
for many years. But now there's
Wait, I remember. The first thing I ever remember learning about Bolivia was when Evo Morales took over. He was like the kind of a big socialist coca. He was a coca. He's
Believe.
indigenous coca farmer who like socialized the country, like took back the government in the name of the people, and kind of reinvigorated the coca culture because coca is not all cocaine. I mean, it is actually a
No,
medicine that has been used by, you know, this like by indigenous people for many, many years. It's just been bastardized into cocaine.
very sacred. Actually, the coca plant that it's used to make cocaine is like a different strain. It's like sativa and indica kind of thing, right? So
Right.
like the one that is used for that is not even used for the medicinal. I'm sure it has medicinal properties as well, but
There's our
like it's
coca right there. I
beautiful. Oh,
have
that's
one coca.
huge.
Yeah, it's a big bush.
Nice. You chew on it
Yeah,
sometimes?
I do. We chew on it just to look
Nice.
minerals, and it's good. It gives you a little bit of
It
energy.
alkalines,
It's
yeah.
like yeah,
Yeah,
but
yeah, it does.
not like cocaine or nothing like that.
Well, I wouldn't know.
Anyways, yeah, of course not. So then okay, I want to get into because we talked a little bit about this, but you sent me an Instagram page the other day that was super alarming to me, which was about gentrification. It was like go home gringos kind of thing. It was
Not kind of thing. It's exactly what it
it's a
is.
go home gringos page.
It alarmed me a little bit too.
Yeah.
Kind of to. I'm sorry. I'm like, am I gonna hijack your question?
No. It's okay. No, I mean, I mean, I have a lot of feelings around it. I've been here for 16 years as an immigrant in Costa Rica. I have a lot of Costa Rican friends. Many around here, I feel like there's not so much of that energy. A lot of people are still very like, there's a lot of cultural connection. There's a lot of intention around how we're going to engage with the like a lot of there's a lot of like thought into that reality of like, well, we don't want to gentrify this area. We don't want to be seen as colonizers or be colonizers or whatever that thing is that keeps coming up. It seems to be that page was maybe based where at the beach more.
Yeah, that's more on the coast for sure. Like, I also have many, many foreigner friends. People that have lived here longer than they have lived abroad, like more locals than some of the locals, and
Yeah.
at some point I even told you like you do more for the locals, for the area, let's say, than some of the ticos,
Well, maybe
but
maybe because I have more.
talking back to
access.
well, a different vision. But
Mm.
going back to the page, so
Yeah.
because it is
What
called
was
like
that?
I don't like it. Just kind of started like in my stories, in my Instagram feed. Just friends of mine reposting. Most of them live like in the North Pacific, the Guanacaste area, which is just like kind of lost. But it's lost for all of us, right? It's lost for all
Yeah,
of
I don't
Costa
want to go
Rica.
there either.
No, it's just. I mean, I love it. I love.
I like the beaches.
Like it's one of the most beautiful parts. But it's just the. I think the growth, the speed of growth, is what is alarming people. Because what I was talking to Ivan, your producer and cameraman extraordinaire, about what he feels, how he feels about gentrification, which is a word that I don't really even
Well, it's just
totally understand.
we all under gentrification. I mean, is basically when when a culture that has more access to capital comes in and
Right.
starts buying up places from like it's happening around here
Right.
for sure.
It's happening in the world, so it's not just
Right.
about
Totally.
Costa Rica, right?
No.
But
It's
I
a
feel
symptom
like
it's a symptom of the money system
Yeah,
itself. It's not something
exactly.
any of us can control. It's like, what would you do if you have more money and you can go buy a nice place and somebody wants to sell it because they're happy to take that money?
Yeah.
But then then it just drives up prices everywhere. It's
Right.
anyway.
No, and then it makes it like hard for us a little bit. Well, there's the us and
Yeah,
and
who's
them
the us,
thing. Stop
Roxy?
it.
Who's the
No.
us?
It's hard to like to talk about this without being like sounding like I'm on one side or the other side, because I also like to walk in La Paco and go get my nice
Matcha latte.
coffee. You know what I mean? Like I want nice places to eat. If it was like for not like outside influence, we would eat like what, casado every day. It's not super healthy, or yuca frita or things like that, which is delicious. But don't get me wrong. It's like we appreciate and we also
Yeah.
yearn for these things. So like the locals that go abroad and study and then bring back like the good things that they saw, I don't know, studying in Europe, in Barcelona or whatever, and then they bring nice food and nice style,
Culture.
culture, right?
Yeah.
As opposed to I don't know, like it's just the development that is kind of getting to us, like not
Mhm.
to Costa Rica, to you as well, to us
Yeah.
who love living here, is what I
Yeah.
mean by us. It's
No,
just
and
like
you don't.
developing so quickly, especially in the coastal
Yeah.
areas.
And
Like,
Roxy, just to be clear, you don't have to like worry about
it's weird.
offending me. You're
Oh,
not going to
well,
offend me.
I know.
The one thing that kind of does come to mind is like, it's interesting to me because I get it and I understand. And also like Ticos, I think about it, it's like gringo go home. I mean, who is a gringo? Like,
Mm.
first of all, I think they kind of lump all Americans, Canadians, Europeans, Israelis, Australians.
They have called me a gringa before.
Yeah,
Here,
exactly.
they have
Anybody
told me, "Oh, yeah, you speak really good
you
Spanish." It's
speak,
like,
yeah. So it's
sí,
it's like
soy
that
de
kind of,
aquí.
for one, that gets lumped together. But then there's also the reality of like ticos, like campesino ticos versus peone, like cheap, like or poor ticos from the campesino, poor ticos from the city versus like ticos with access or good jobs or like business owners. I mean, it's funny to me sometimes how Costa Ricans kind of identify as this one culture, and yet I feel like even within the culture, there's so many different. Like you said, you like to go get a latte. You can afford to. You have good jobs. You get good
And a
jobs. You
coconut milk.
coconut milk. Stevia in substitute, please. No,
Raw organic. Uh,
no, but I mean, like, but then, like, yeah, like some campesino or some like land worker who's making $5 an hour can't probably do that. So it's not like
nor do they want to. Like I have,
right.
like you share it, and and they don't really like give a matcha to
Matcha.
know.
Yeah, yeah, I know. I know. I'm just
It's a
saying,
learned taste.
I
No,
guess
but sorry, but yeah,
no, go.
I think and I was talking with, I think was Lexi, your friend, actually, who's been on the show.
Yeah, we had her last week.
Uh-huh. We were talking about this when we first met, and like to me, like I feel white here, because white privilege kind of thing, right? Like how you would identify white privilege. I feel like it's a thing more here of a social construct, because to me it's more about like opportunities, right? And just being
Right.
born where I was and blessed by that, unapologetically
Sure.
grateful,
Totally.
I feel that brings about a certain privilege that could be considered white until you go to the States and you have to mark
Right.
that box where it's like, oh, maybe I'm not.
Well, that's because I think, and that's what I'm getting at is it's not. I think it's not so much about where you're born. Like I'm a gringo, but I'm not from a big developer family. I don't have a lot.
Yeah.
Like my parents aren't developers. We're pretty modest people, middle class, whatever. And so, and you for instance, like our Tica, but you're not from a poor Tica family. You had access and you got to, you raised in a good area. And that's so again, it's not so much, I don't think it's so much about color or
No.
culture. It has a lot more to do with economics. And I think that's the biggest scare is like it's not so much because like you said, there's a lot of Costa Ricans that like the culture. And in fact, Costa Rica I'm sorry if I'm like, I've had a lot of mate. Costa Rica, well, like the Costa Rican government put a lot of money into developing
Yeah,
Guanacaste.
that's what I was gonna say. Like it's
Like they were
nothing to do.
encouraging
Absolutely,
like
absolutely. No,
development.
for many years already, for many years, and we've been selling this. We as like our government or our like tourism secretariat of office or whatever, they've been selling the Costa Rica come retire in Costa Rica and the Costa Rica dream, and like a lot of these developers are Costa Rican.
Mhm.
They're like like families also as well, or corporations that have become
Interesting.
just yeah,
So they've
that are
encouraged.
yeah, so it's encouraged. It's nothing
Yeah.
like, and going back to that the neo-colonialism thing, like I feel like I have a problem a little bit with that, or like my body reacts to that word, because I feel like colonialism had like an intent behind it
Right.
that is not happening now. Like it's not like you're colonizing,
Right.
or we're colonizing, or we didn't come to colonize. I don't know, like the Chirripó Mountains, for example, where a lot of ticos have moved to, like,
Uh-huh.
but it's just like, who wouldn't want to live here, and it's for everyone, like just because there's a border and a passport doesn't mean that it doesn't belong to you as well. It's the earth, right? So
Well,
it's
my name is human. My name is human for a reason. I was saying this. I sent this message to my community the other day. Is that like I really don't identify as anything. Like I don't like identifiers so much as like I'm an American.
No.
Because I'm a human. I'm born on this planet. My ancestors somehow ended up in that area.
Yeah, exactly.
Costa Rican have ancestors from all over the freaking planet. Like, even as far, even go back, it's like even so many Costa Ricans, like whatever it's like, come speak our language. I'm like, I do want to learn and be a better Spanish
You
speaker.
speak really good
I'm
Spanish.
learning, and I care. I want to. But even that, when I hear it, what I hear is like, speak my colonizer language. I don't think about like when you say like, same in the U.S. when people come to the U.S. and they're like, speak English. It's like Spanish, English. It's all colonizer language. Who cares? Like, you're gonna learn.
Yeah,
you're gonna
but
like. I know it's good.
you can't. It's that's like nitpicking, because
I
it's colonizing
know.
of like 600 years ago. You know
No,
what I
I
mean?
know.
Like it's
No,
a
600?
well 500. I don't
No.
know. 500 years. 500 years ago, the
Okay,
Spanish
500
came
years.
to our coast.
Columbus.
Took away our gold.
Columbus
No, I'm kidding.
discovered.
Oh, there is a
Pomona.
talking. There is a talking. There is a talk in Congress to change the name of the Colon.
Ah,
There is
no
like
way.
a
So the colon, for those of you who don't know this, is the Costa Rican monetary. It's Costa Rican money, the colones, and it's named after
Cristobal Colon,
Christopher
which
Colon,
is Christopher Columbus in
which
Spanish,
we call Christopher Columbus.
who took our gold. Basically, no, I'm kidding.
Took
but-
all the gold out of Costa Rica and moved,
I'm
and then we
kidding.
named all the money after him.
Exactly.
Oh, I love it. It's so
No,
funny.
but I know those are the kind of things that we like to talk about.
Yeah,
so those are
no.
the like kind of things you like to hear from me. So
No, I do. I love to hear that. Yeah, you always keep me abreast of the environmental, the political. I like that you're so involved with all that.
Yeah.
And I've met from your friends, like, you have some amazing friends who are doing amazing environmental work all
Yeah.
over Costa Rica, and yeah, thank you, Roxy, for engaging this poor small gringo.
oh come on.
No, I mean,
No, it's wonderful what you do here too. Like in some of our conversations as well. It's like you once told me talking about this, like you guys. I said you guys, kind of like you guys are like behind everything. Like we just need to stop for a minute so we can catch up, right? Because I also want to buy these beautiful lands, and And you said something that was very true. Like this was always here, only it was not like this. And now, like 15 years ago,
Right.
a group of you came together and had a vision. Steven had an amazing vision, and
Right.
everybody at the Eco, or like the people founding the Ecovilla, and we as kids were like going to the river for a day and like and eating the hard-boiled egg, which is a joke for us. Like come huevos are the people that go to the river and eat the hard-boiled egg, which is delicious. And who doesn't want to bring an egg to the river, right? But we, our parents, it was like away from the city. It was it wasn't that vision of, for sure. I'm just speaking about myself and like people a little bit my generation kind of thing, but now that we see what beautiful things can be done, now everybody's like, oh yeah, I want to also like live next to the river. I want to, but it's going so fast with the gentrification thing of rising the prices that.
yeah. Well, why do you think that is? Like, why did I think maybe it could have been that in some way it was just kind of taken for granted in a way. Like,
Yeah.
you just didn't
Yeah.
know.
That's exactly what it was. Like it's always gonna be here. In my
Right.
mind, it was like it's always gonna be here, the river. Right? But then like the accesses, and that's what's going on like on the coast. Yeah, the beach is public, it's there, but if you build like if you for some reason buy like beachfront, I don't know, 2 hectares of beachfront, then the accesses are 2
Blocked.
hectares apart, right? Like there's a public road, it's like by law you have to make a public access.
Right.
But it doesn't mean you have to make it like through your beautiful
Or easy.
resort or
Right, or
easy,
easy for
right?
people to
Exactly.
get to.
So that's I think that's where people are getting a little bit like uneasy, like
Right.
unresty.
And you think it's mostly though people in that area?
I think it's more the coast.
it's the locals in the coast that are
Well-
like watching what they had for that, maybe not taken for granted because it was just, but it was always there for them, and now it's like, yeah,
I feel also Costa Rica being so tourist driven, right? Like our main, I don't know if it's the main
no, it is
business,
the main driver
but
of the economy here.
it's always been tourism, or for many years at least.
Yeah,
And the coast, the beaches are so beautiful, and everybody's like, oh, the beach. We grew
Costa
up going.
Rica.
No, they are beautiful. But I feel like everything that is going, this is just my personal appreciation after having spent like the lockdown of COVID in the mountains,
Mm-hmm.
river life.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like in the coast, it's so much tourism. It's always like, what can we take? Like, what can we take from the gringo? What can you take from the tourists? Like, gringo pricing. You've all heard about this. And also like the extraction of the fish. Like I feel the energy of the coast is a little bit more like
Extractive.
take extraction, like
Yeah.
without giving back.
Right.
And then you have this kind of thing, like next to a river where you're planting your own food, and so you have to nurture the land, so the land nurtures you back, and the energy is a little bit more.
It's different.
It's different. It's kinder. It's a little bit more más amable.
Reciprocative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that the main speech of all this like anti-gentrification situation is on the beach, because if I don't know, if you were somebody that goes there and you're feeling like you're always, and I have really good friends that have lived here in the Osa Peninsula, for example, for 20 years, and my friend one day like broke down crying, and she's like, I'm so tired of like always getting taken advantage of, because she's like tall and super mega blonde surfer chick, and
But
it's
she's
like
Tica.
no, she's from the States, but she's like, she's done beautiful things down here for 20 years. You know what I mean? And she's like, I will always be a green guy and
Yeah.
taking a little bit advantage of. And
That's always been a thing for me here too, because I mean, it happened around here too. Like once, there's this kind of assumption. And again, these are where we got to break down all this stuff, because it's not like just because I'm from the States doesn't mean I have money. Like there's plenty of people who come here with money for sure, but I came here as a musician, like super hand to mouth. I'm sure I had less in my pockets or in my bank account than most of any of my neighbors here, even the workers probably, because I was living at that level. That's why I identify so well with so many of like my quote unquote workers, the people I hire to help me on this farm, because I've lived at that level and I understand it. And I'm not trying to take advantage of them. In fact, I look at it as like for them, and I only will work with them if they see it as I'm helping create opportunities for them, because they call me. I usually don't even look for workers. I wait for them to go like,
Right.
"Hey, human, I'm looking for work. You got anything going?" That works for me, because that feels reciprocal. But I'm just saying, like, yeah, I don't know. It's like there is that thing of like feeling taken advantage of. I've felt, and I do have access because I have an American passport. Maybe that's part of it, and because I have Amazon, access to Amazon, and most ticos, many ticos have never even been on an airplane. I mean, that's worth saying.
Yeah,
Like,
for sure.
there's a
Most people in the world, I would think.
small group of like international ticos like yourself who have the access and grew up in that world. But there's also a lot of like campesinos who never, like, they just can't, but they just haven't, it's not part of their
It's not
culture.
part of the.
They don't want to.
No, some people do, some people don't, and the ones that do, they will find a way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not like, I know
It's so complicated, and we have so
I
much.
do. Okay, I want to say one thing.
Yeah.
I feel like a couple of things. So I feel like what's going on is that Costa Rica is tiny, tiny. It's a tiny country, and so for everybody to be like, "Come to Costa Rica, it's so great," at some point they're shooting themselves in the foot as well, because then what made it so special, which is like you go to the beach
Right.
and there's like 3 other people way down there, that's not gonna happen anymore, right? Or you go to, now you can see like houses popping up everywhere because everybody wants to be here because all the other people.
Yeah,
So it's the
we call that a
disconnect.
carrying capacity. Like, it has a
Oh,
carrying
okay, that's
capacity of like, this level, it's not going to be fun anymore.
Right, exactly. And then people, which I think it's kind of like the virus of humankind, where it's like, and then okay, we're done with this. Let's move to the next thing, which will probably be
Bali.
Nicaragua.
Oh,
No,
Nicaragua.
we're
Oh, yeah,
Bali
for
now.
sure.
They're
Bali
like they're
moved
calling
to-
us the new Tulum. Like
Ugh,
Costa Rica's the new Tulum.
I don't want to be the new
It's
Tulum.
like, you're so Tulum.
I need my wide brim hat. My
With
wide
Poncho
brim
on the
hat.
flute. Tonight we'll see Poncho.
Oh yeah, we'll see for sure.
No, so that's one thing that I think, like, I personally, and everything that I'm talking about, it's my own personal opinion. Not by no means am I talking for the rest of
Right,
the ticos.
totally.
It's just.
And I don't speak for all humans either. So,
But yeah, so that's the thing. And I've heard like somebody that I respect very much was on your podcast, and telling everybody about the wonders of, and he has like a big following. So I was a little bit like,
Who is that?
I'll tell you later, but I got a little bit like disappointed that it's like, yeah, this is so great that you want to bring all your friends, but the friends bring, you know what I mean? It's like kind of like you want to keep it a secret, but is it like selfish not to share it? I don't know. Like I'm conflicted.
Yeah, no, I get
I'm
it.
conflicted, because like it's just growing, like it's very, very fast.
growing
It's
fast.
very fast. Like if you haven't seen it, and you're kind of here a little bit secluded, and
oh,
I
no.
don't, I know you don't leave the premises a lot because you work a lot on this farm.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
works a lot on this farm, but it is a beautiful farm. But if you go like anywhere else, it's like just exploding.
Yeah.
Exploding with construction, and I don't think we have the capacity. There's no infrastructure. So I feel like that's
Yeah.
more where we're coming from. Like, okay, we just need to stop the growth. And it's nobody's fault but our own government that keeps on giving permits.
And that happens. I mean, that's to be like you said. To be honest, that's happened in every city
yeah, it
I've
just
lived
happens
in.
everywhere.
And when I was in Austin, it was happening. When I was in Nashville, it was happening. The same thing. They don't have the infrastructure. The problem is the human population continues to grow, and we want to live together. We're social people, so we want to be together and in beautiful places. And yet, yeah, we're limited with. I don't think we'll ever run out of land. I think we can feed a lot of people. I think that idea that we can't is wrong, but I think we're gonna have to shift and change. Roxy, before we end, because I know I really want to talk about also your home birth housing, because you have these places that you rent out for families that are coming here.
Yeah. For expats, actually.
Just expats?
Mostly, yeah, because the ticos that want to give, sorry to interrupt you, but the ticos that want to give home birth, they give birth in their own homes, right? Or kind of thing. So it's mostly for women and families, which is something beautiful, actually. The people that choose to have home birth, I feel like they are so connected, and so like they're mostly families. Out of like over 32 kids maybe born in my property,
Wow.
only one was a single mom.
Wow.
So it's beautiful to see, like this conscious conception and all, and so loving all of it. So yeah, that just happened organically. Like I have these houses that I had on Airbnb, and all of a sudden somebody wanted to give birth. I said yes, and then from then on it's just word of mouth, and the midwife sent me the moms, and it's like it's giving me a lot of abundance and prosperity.
Yeah.
So I'm very grateful for all the expats that have decided to move here to Costa Rica. And
well, this is the thing. I'm glad you say that, because it's complicated.
It's super complicated.
Yeah.
No, and it's like a symbiotic thing. Like we're benefiting at the same time. We didn't even scratch the surface of what is wrong. Like Nosara, for example, with everybody. Like the teachers of Nosara, you will see in the page I sent you, the teachers of teachers of Nosara, they're having to travel 1 hour a day to be able to go to the public school because they cannot live in the area anymore, not even like right outside. So it's like
it's a funny thing because that's the thing, like the gringos come here and they get used to paying a certain price for things, but as the prices go up, also the pay has to go up for people, or else they can't. It's like that's the way it works. It's not happening.
That's the way it should work.
It's the way it should work. It has to work that way, or else it's not sustainable.
It's very funny because the movement and the gentrification drives the prices up, and then Costa Rica was already expensive, and now it's
I gave Ivan a nasty look. Ivan, what are you doing over there?
Now it's expensive even for the expats. Like everybody's just suffering from this.
It's true. I mean, even here, like, and to be honest, to be clear, it is happening here. I mean, to much smaller degree, and it's not as like harsh in this area because it's not like. Mostly there's still a lot of land. I mean, first of all, we talk about this a lot, but this area was called Desemperados, the abandoned land, and there was literally almost nobody living here. It was cattle, pasture. It was just being old inherited family lands that people moved to the city long time ago, and they were just sitting on it, and they were happy to sell mostly. And most of the locals around here have been, I feel, and I can't speak for everyone, but I feel the majority of the people have been pretty happy to see energy, economy, things happening because San Mateo was for a lot of years just
Yeah.
a sleepy.
It
people
was
just-
the stop where you would get your pupusas on the way back from Jaco.
exactly.
Basically, that's what it
If
was.
that.
No, yeah, for
Yeah, yeah.
sure.
Oh, it was the
Las
pupusa place.
pupusas San Mateo.
Yeah. Okay, got it. Yeah, no, it's
No,
but it's
complicated.
something we're gonna have to deal with more and more. And for our people watching in this valley or thinking of coming to this area, yeah, I mean these are things to.
Come, I mean, it's beautiful, but it's things to consider.
We're gonna clip that out. It's gonna be.
Yeah, please. No. I mean, it's just like it's beautiful. Who are we to be? Like if you're coming and doing like beautiful things, like being stewards of the land, as opposed to being just developers. I feel is the disconnect of what is going on in Costa Rica or in the world. I think
Can I get this closer?
is the disconnect. The disconnect is, I think, also
developers.
problematic. Of everybody, because you come here and I don't know, like you get your food delivered to you, and you're just like here with like it's diverse for sure, and we like the diversity that you have brought to Costa Rica for sure. Like it's I love, like we love all of it.
And again, you is like this
It's,
no, it's like it's important to this is what I want to keep saying though, but is like this area there's probably 50 countries represented here. So
Yeah.
it's not like it's one culture that's descended upon here. I mean, maybe we have some cultural similarities, but it's not like it's like we all came here to take over this area. I mean, it's literally people felt the call from wherever they were, and they came here because mostly, I think, because especially in this area, because they didn't have people around them that they
Right.
really resonated with. And Costa Rica,
Right.
because of you don't have a military, because of your strong environmental standards, which
That
is
may be changing.
I know, which is complicated in itself. We'll talk about that in another episode.
we need like I don't know, like a whole, like just a show for ourselves.
But I'm saying, yeah, we'll have the Roxy and Human show. That'll be the next one. You can pay for that one. And then the
Patreon will pay for it.
Patreon will pay for it. But I'm saying, like like it's because people were drawn to the culture because you set a standard, like as a culture, as a people that is attracting people that have
Yeah.
desired to live in a place of peace, a place of harmony, a place of nature and the abundance of animals and food. I mean, it's just the most
And the diversity
gorgeous
also.
freaking
It is.
country.
I
love
can
it
see
here.
your eyes light up.
I love it here.
I love it too.
Aw.
I love it too. I love that you love it.
Yeah.
Come if you're gonna love it, and if you're gonna connect and not be disconnected from, the locals.
Before we end, because we've gone over time, but
Yeah, way.
Roxy is also an amazing organizer. She actually flew to Texas with me to organize my storage unit, and you will not see a more organized storage unit ever. Like labels on everything, like help me get rid of things. So if you need help with that service, she also is a feng shui, like works with feng shui. She's gonna feng shui our party tonight. And yeah, I mean, this is just, you do that at a pretty high level. And we didn't even go into that because you graciously gave all your time to talk about politics as you do.
God.
So please get a hold of her for that. Also, home birth housing if you need a home near the city to have a baby in home. She's got all that too. Roxy, how can people reach you?
La Rockstar.
La Rockstar.
La Instagram.
La_Rockstar.
Rockstar.
ROXSTAR.
Yeah.
At
Should
Instagram.
I change that handle?
I don't know. I like it. I like it. It's been amazing. Thank you. I love you, Roxy.
Thank you for having me. I'm a super fan. I watch all your episodes.
Oh,
Yeah, some of them strike me.
You were here you're here for the very first
very
episode. I
first,
remember
with
you were
Ivan.
actually staying on the
I
farm.
was.
So this is full circle.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Feliz
This is
cumpleaños.
Gracias. This is La Vida Verde podcast. I'm your host, Matthew Human. First, I want to say thank you to Eco Teas for the mate. You had this conversation charged for sure. Eco Teas mate, thank you. You can find us every week. Every Tuesday, we release episodes on YouTube. Also, you can find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. You can find us on Instagram at Finca Vida Verde CR. We are on Facebook, Finca Vida Verde. FincaVidaVerde.com is our website. We're going to be fixing that. It's a little old and outdated, but we're working on that one. And please, if you like these episodes, subscribe to our Patreon, patreon.com/La Vida Verde podcast, where we have all kinds of amazing backup stuff, cool extras, and also it just helps to keep this kind of conversation going. We appreciate it. We're gonna have a party tonight.
Woo!
Woohoo! Pura
Rager.
vida.